Good morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever time of day it is for you. I have three dreams. Catch you guys up on. I took Christmas, Tuesday, and Wednesday off. Tuesday and Wednesday, my mother's off. Christmas was just busy as is. Um, I don't even know how to go about getting into this. I am going to have to look at my phone. When when I wake up from these dreams, I usually write them down. But since I never have like pad and a piece of paper or a pen around, I just like literally text message myself. Go from there. Okay. The first dream is the one that I had. Nope. The first two dreams I had Christmas. Yeah, Christmas. Um no, it may have been Christmas Eve. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. They were both on Christmas. The first one, I believe, only happened because I've been watching way too many Sam and Colby episodes on YouTube, as well as Call Me Chris and Selena Spooky Boo. I've been watching so much of their stuff on YouTube lately that it kind of incorporates itself into my dreams. Um, so this first one is mainly about that. Me and a group of people that I've never met before get in a car, head over to a abandoned property. We got permission from whoever owns the land. They're like, no one's living there because it's haunted as crap. Go in at your own risk. And so we stop by, we get the key, we go to this property, and there's a dog out front. And at first, it doesn't register to me. So we all kind of go in the gate and we start knocking at the door, and we hear movement inside, and we're like, no one's supposed to be here, so what the hell? We knock again, and then this older gentleman comes out with a shotgun pointed at us, and he's just like screaming and yelling for us to get off of his property and whatnot. My dream kind of shifts from there, and we end up in the basement. I don't know how we got past the guy with the shotgun, or if he even knows that we're there, or if he just kind of dissipated and we went in. I don't I have absolutely no idea. We end up in the basement. We've got all our equipment set up. My dream kind of shifts again, and we've got everything packed up. They leave. I literally wave them out the door, and I start going upstairs. And instead of ending upstairs of the property that we're on, I somehow end up upstairs at my grandma's house where my two youngest aunts are sitting at the table. And as I'm coming up, I can see over the banister, see them sitting there, and they look over and they're like, "Oh, Kat, we had a question for you." And I was like, "Okay." And they were like, "So is everyone on your side of the family just sluts or some shit like that?" They say something along those lines. And I wake up, mind you, extremely pissed. My dreams can actually piss me off, mainly because I know specifically that my family is that fucked up. Uh, One of my older dreams was I was sitting at a high school hanging out. I was going through books, trying to study for tests that I have or something. And I always sit in this one specific spot at a table because no one ever goes back to that table. It's always empty. So I went back there to sit study, and this little boy walks up and tries to get me to move. And I said, "No, I was here first and I'm busy." Well, he plops himself down on the ground and starts screaming and crying. And my aunt comes, my my third aunt, well, I guess technically she's the second aunt, comes running in and what did you do to this boy and blah blah blah, and doesn't even listen to what I have to say, takes the side of this boy who isn't even hers. I wake up from that dream extremely pissed off. It was one of I've had that dream 3 separate times, and each and every time I have it, I avoid my aunt like the plague. They affect me, which is just weird as is. Anyway, the second dream, the second dream I don't remember much of. Um, much like much like something that you would see in anime manhwas or mangas, there are dungeons in our world, and I was looking for something. What was I looking for? I don't know. There are dungeons in our world for some reason. Everyone turns into like an adventurer. Um, we like the dungeons appear, people start going completely crazy, and we take all of farming animals like pigs, cows, chickens, the stuff that we eat, and we put them in this gigantic coliseum. And I people in power decided, well, people with money or power, whatever it is, people who think that they're their top priority, basically decide that they're going to rule the world, save humanity, if you will. Um, and me and my family decide that we ain't gonna do that shit. We could very easily figure out what our own gifts were. I don't know if it was like an instinct thing or what. Just we already knew what our abilities were. So me, my mom, and her husband start wandering and going to clear dungeons. Once a dungeon is cleared, it basically just turns into a mine. And because all three of us require mana crystals, we literally hoard all of it. Um, we mine it all out before we let anyone else enter, and then we leave. We're not going to trust the government or people in power to take all of those and then sell it for an extremely high price. It's ridiculous. So we take what we need and then we sell the rest for the price that it goes for. They're not all that expensive. Anyway, my mom and James and her husband start feeling sick. And because their sickness was getting worse and worse, I decided to build a house in the middle of nowhere for some reason, next to a lake and like at the edge of a gigantic thing of woods to nurse them back to health. I get the whole place set up and they start feeling a little better. So I go out dungeon hunting and leave them there. When I come back, I want to say it was like a couple of weeks. I come back and they've got a gigantic farm with all the animals that were in the Colosseum. Apparently, the people in power and people that decided to work for them and sign up for the Adventurers Guild and crap like that decided that they didn't need those specific animals anymore because they could eat monster meat. Okay. And they just kind of abandoned the animals there. So I guess Mama and her husband decided that they were going to go and rescue them. Kind of weird, but anyway, they've got this gigantic farm, fields, um, with tomatoes, corn, and all that stuff that you can grow. But they also have these gigantic killer bees that won't let them out of the house. Mama comes out for some reason. I think she saw me and she was gonna yell something to me when a bee tried to go and attack her, and I rushed over and I grabbed it. When I grabbed it, its head sticking out, and so is its ass. Okay, these things were huge. And so I grab it and then I throw it to the side and I push me and Mama inside and I slam the door shut behind me and I wake up. Which is terrifying because I would never grab a bee. I hate the damn things. They terrify the living crap out of me. I don't like being stung. I don't like needles. It was a really weird dream. I don't have dreams like that often. That one was quite odd. The next one is this one I had Christmas. I believe it was Christmas Day. And it was quite odd in itself. I'm 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 out in this like I don't know how to put it. It's gigantic open areas with houses that have like farmland or animals or whatever. Everyone out there is basically a farmer or some sort and whatnot. And I get in my car and I drive to town. I guess I was getting ready to go and do some shopping or something when I meet this curly haired blonde woman crying her eyes out, and I realize that she's pregnant. And so I walk up to her and I'm like, "Are you okay? Do you need some help?" And as normal people do, "No, no, I'm fine," type deal. I'm like, "You're obviously not. You're sitting on the ground while you're pregnant and you're crying your eyes out. Something's obviously not okay." So I end up taking her inside a store where I get her some food and I get me some food. And she just kind of starts telling me what was going on. Apparently, her and her boyfriend at the time had come out to get groceries and something, and they got into an argument, and he just up and left. And I was like, okay. I was like, if you need a ride home after I do some shopping, I can take you home. And she says, okay, thank you very much. So we're going around shopping, finishing eating, finishing our drinks or whatever. And we get into the car and I take her home. And I remembered where she lived because she didn't live that far from me, which I thought was weird because I live far away from everybody. Well, I drop her off. She goes inside with what groceries that she was left with. Keep in mind that the house and the car that he is driving are both under her name, not his. I go up the road and I tell her, if you need anything, I am literally 3 houses up. I was like, you can't miss it. It's a big black brick house. And so we exchange names and numbers, and then I go home, put my groceries away and everything. She calls me a few days later, crying her eyes out, asking if she can come over. I go, yeah, sure. And I hear screaming in the background, another woman's voice. I didn't know if it was his mom, her sister, his sister, whatever it was. I didn't know who it was, just another woman's voice and a guy's voice screaming. Well, she leaves, she hangs up, she comes over to the house, and I sit her down and I'm like, I and I'm like, tell me what was going on because I heard a lot of screaming in the background of the phone call. I was like, if you're in some serious trouble, and then I stopped mid sentence because I saw a huge handprint on her face and scratches on her arm, and I was like, what the fuck happened? She goes, you remember when I said that my boyfriend left um, a couple days ago after we got into that huge fight at the grocery store? And I was like, yes, I remember that because that was the day I met you and I took you home. She was like, well, he came back that night with another woman. I was like, so he cheated on you? And she was like, no, well, I guess sort of. She then explained to me that she doesn't care if he has a lover or whatnot, as long as the lover does not come to the house. It is like the only time she's allowed to come to the house is if they're stopping by, like he's going to change clothes real quick and then they're going to leave, or to introduce her to her. Well, he decided to bring this other blonde woman with, she's got really stick straight hair, does not look good on her at all. He decides to bring this woman in and just like downright tells her she's moving in, and that's it. He goes out to the car and starts grabbing her stuff and brings it all in. She got really, really upset. And I was like, well, did you try talking to him about it? Maybe there's some kind of misunderstanding going on. From what you've told me, he's a decent guy. He's never hit you. You guys just argue a lot. And she like starts calming down and she's like, okay. She's like, okay, I'll go and do that. And she leaves. Well, she ends up calling me again the next day. And she's just like, I need some place to stay. She's like, I don't want to be there anymore. I can't handle or deal with this or whatnot. And I'm like, okay. I was like, can you get over here? And she's like, I don't have the car. Apparently, he loaned her car out to the blonde woman for some fucking reason. So I was like, okay, I'll be over there in about 10 minutes. I get over there and I'm driving this gigantic truck. It's not mine. I just bought it. It's brand new. And I bought it in her name. And it's a really nice truck. Okay? Really nice truck. I don't like trucks very often, but I love this truck. I go over. She said that she had already started packing. There were a few things left. I go in the house and I hear a car pull up into the driveway. I hear footsteps inside the house to go out to, I'm guessing he was in the back or something and just didn't hear us come in. She takes a pile of things out and is putting them in the truck. The other blonde girl pulls in. The boyfriend goes out to meet her, notices a gigantic truck sitting out front with his pregnant girlfriend now packing her shit into it. Understandably, he gets pissed. Well, no, not understandably. He gets pissed because he's an entitled prick. He gets pissed, and the blonde girl with straight hair also gets pissed. I have no idea what their names are. Okay. My dream differentiated the two girls because one had curly hair and one had straight hair. And the one with curly hair was the original girlfriend, while the one with straight hair was the mistress. He gets pissed off, starts yelling. I don't think anything of it because the two of them yell a lot. I did not, however, take into account that he had a bimbo standing next to him. I'm coming out with my hands full of boxes, and I see this blonde girl stroll up to the other curly haired blonde girl and basically shove her, and she falls and hits her stomach. I rush out. I like drop everything, rush over to check on her, and she's like holding her stomach, and she's not crying or anything, but she looks completely shocked. Almost like her own soul left her body because she was terrified. So I asked one of the next door neighbor of theirs, to come over and help me get her into the truck. He gets her into the truck, and we lay her down in the back seat. I put down the front passenger seat and scoot it up. That way I have room to to stay right beside her. And he gets into the driver's side, and I hand him the keys, and he starts driving. Keep in mind, we're leaving the bimbo and the jackass behind. I don't I think they just hopped in the car and started following us to the hospital because they both ended up there with us. But I told the nurse and the security guards and the doctors that they are not a part of any of this. They're not allowed to be anywhere near her. The cops show up because they keep trying to get into the room and arrest both of them. And I tell them, look, she apparently sold them this house, was packing up her stuff. Him, he was home so that he could keep an eye on her while she's packing her stuff. The girl comes home. Well, his new mistress comes home and picks a fight with her and shoves her while she's pregnant. The cops don't take too kindly to that out in the country, okay? So they immediately arrest both of them. They got clear evidence of it too because the neighbor's security cam was on and was recording everything. So he's like, this is the security footage from my house. He was like, you have more than enough evidence to arrest them both for the activity that has been going on for the past several days. So the cop arrests them both. The hospital decides to keep her for a few days to make sure that that her and the baby are going to be perfectly fine. So I leave her in the hospital and I go back home. A couple days go by and I get a text message that they're releasing her from the hospital. And I was like, okay, I'll come and pick you up. I take the truck and I drive over and I pick her up. We get to her house and I hand her the keys. And she's like staring at me completely confused and sees the other car there. And again, staring at me completely confused because she has absolutely no idea what's going on. I was like, both him and her are in jail. The cops have given you full permission to take what you want of the house. You sold it to them. It's under his name now. The car is yours. You have not sold them the car yet. So the title is still under your name. I was like, but if you don't want anything to do with that car, I have gotten permission from the court that if you take in the title, you can sign over the name to them, and the court will hand it over to whoever when they get out, or if you want to give it to someone else. I was like, I bought this truck for you, and I also have another surprise for you. And Understandably, she's kind of like, I don't understand what's going on. I was like, oh, don't worry about it. I was like, I've known the cops here for a very long time. I was like, if you need shit done, I'm gonna get shit done. So she goes into the house. She starts packing all the stuff into the back of the truck. She finds the title to the car, scratches off her name, and writes down his. We go and hand it in to the court and tell them that she's not going to keep the car. She doesn't want anything to do with the car, and for very good fucking reason. I We get back into the truck and I drive it over to my house. But instead of pulling into my garage, I keep driving down my driveway. My property is very fucking huge and it has two separate houses on it. Well, technically it has three houses, but the third one is just there. Um, so all the way in the very back of the property, there is this nice little two-story house. And I was like, I have put this house specifically under your name. I was like, there are three mailboxes on this property, all of which are at the front of the driveway. I was like, these three houses have separate addresses, but they're all on the same area that I own. I was like, this house is yours. I was like, if anyone tries to find you or anything of the sort, they won't. She starts crying. Understandably, she's very happy. We end up having to make another trip to the house to get the rest of her stuff. So we end up driving back. Something happens. What was it? Yeah, for some reason, I start laughing at this coffee maker that she has. Um, I don't know why I was laughing about it. I was saying something about the truck, but holding a coffee maker. Okay? I have no idea what was going on in my head. And so I'm laughing. The pregnant girl's next to me and she's laughing as well. And then we hear people across the street start laughing. So we turn to look and there's this huge group of people and I'm hearing one familiar laugh. And I'm like, that's weird. I was like, I know that laugh from somewhere. I know that voice from somewhere. And I basically just ignore it and I continue putting stuff into the truck. She's handing me stuff and I'm putting it into the truck, organizing the way things are put in. Because if it was left up to her, she'd just toss it in and that's it. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have to make another trip. I wanted to get her away from that area, that house, that car as soon as possible. That way she could get settled in. So I'm ignoring them laughing over there. And She goes, I can't believe that you would buy me not only this really nice truck, but give me a house. I was like, it's fine. I was like, if you can deal with me being a little off my rocker, we're all good. And she was like, what do you mean off your rocker? And I was like, well, I can tend to be a little crazy sometimes. Mainly when me and my mom are together, no one can keep up with anything that we're saying, and we're just like a comedic duo. We're both kind of out there. And she didn't seem to care. Well, I heard a familiar voice going, "Oh, we have another crazy person here." And I look over and I recognize it's Christopher Titus. I'm like, "Okay, that's weird." I was like, "One, I've never met him. I have absolutely no idea what his person to person voice sounds like. I only know what it sounds like through audio." Second of all, I highly doubt I would live anywhere near Christopher Titus and not notice. I was like, so he must just be visiting these people. Maybe he knows them or something. My brain's trying to rationalize the fact that he's there while I'm packing stuff. And somehow it turns into a competition of who's crazy? Or I don't know how that's possible, but okay. Yeah, it turns into a competition of which one of us is more insane. I win. Mainly because I get into the car, flick them off, and say, I fucking win. And I drive off. I don't wait for him to make a comeback or whatever. I just like leave it at that. And of course, it's a very playful way. It's not just saying fuck you. I don't care how crazy you are type deal. It's more of it's more of a nice try. See if you can find me again. And I drive off. Uh, so I drive off and I take this girl to her home, put all the groceries away, and I go home and I lay down in my bed and I fall asleep. I remember take lifting my head up and looking at the phone because of a message, and the cops were saying that he had been released, that the two of them had been released. They had handed over the title, everything's done. That if I ever need any of their help or anything like that, just to call them. And I roll over and I go back to sleep. Something jolts me awake. I live alone. My mom and her husband have a house further down the road on their own set of property. So I know it's not them because when they come over, they always knock. I know it's not her. She's still getting settled in. Someone just barges into my door, my my house, and slams the front door as hard as fucking possible. and a sound jolts me awake, and I'm like, I live alone. And I literally jump up awake, basically having a freaking panic attack over my own dream. I understandably woke up from that. But you push me off a cliff, or I drive off of a cliff in a car, or I get shot, or whatever. I never wake up. But okay, I was like, someone slams my door, and that's what's going to wake me up from my dream. My dreams have been pretty mellow compared to what they were when I was younger. I would always die in my dreams. It is ever since I could remember my dreams, since I was about like 6, I have always died in my dreams. Always. Whether it was someone I knew killing me, some stranger killing me, some horrible accident, whether it was getting stabbed, burned at the stake, drowning, um, being shot, being butchered, just being tortured altogether. All sorts of ways that you could die. I would wake up, I would die in my dreams, and the dream would continue without me. I'm literally watching people continue their lives in my own dream. Almost like I'm a narrator narrating their lives after I die, which kind of sounds like something I would do. My dreams have always been that way. And it never scared me, never freaked me out. The one dream I had when I was 12 freaked me the fuck out because it was two old men and this beautiful park area where there's a bunch of old people, older people playing chess in this nice little park area. And I walk up and I'm watching these two old people play chess. That's the entire dream. I woke up and was hurled in the corner crying. And I told everyone that I had a horrible, horrible nightmare because it wasn't the norm. It terrified me more than anything else. I've had a lot of scary dreams since then. That doesn't seem as scary anymore. But when I was 12, that was not normal for me. My dreams always consist of me dying in some horrible way, or quick way, slow way, doesn't matter. I'm always dying. And the dream continues on without me. I don't wake up from it. So to have a dream where I stay perfectly alive and I'm in a in a younger state watching two older people play chess in a beautiful park where I can hear birds singing terrified the living fuck out of me. I can't watch people play chess anymore because it still scares me. Does that make any sense to anybody? Because it doesn't to me. Anyway, my dreams have mellowed out a lot since I moved back to Florida with my mom. I At first, I was still having the dreams, but they weren't as often. And they've just, they've kind of mellowed out. I don't die as often. My dreams turn into like an escape from home to a hot dog heist. I just, or me and my mom and my sister adventuring together, which I found that one really weird because my sister never comes into my dreams anymore. But this one she happened to be in, and it was really cool to have her in my dream because it's ever since we grew up, it has never been just the three of us. It has never been just me, my mom, and my sister. Mainly because none of us can get along. Me and my mom get along just fine. Me and my sister, it's okay some of the time and then not okay. It kind of jumps back and forth. My sister and my mom, no. And I'm not even going to go into the hellhole that is. Anyway, also, these two little gummy bear things here, I don't know if you can see them all that well. These two, it's easier to see them up close. They're like neon colors. They're super soft and they're freaking adorable. I got these at Walmart yesterday. Okay, they were $10 each. I am half tempted to go back to Walmart to grab the other colors because they had yellow, blue, and red as well. These two I grabbed because they were calling me. I didn't notice them at first when we went in, and I noticed that we were going past the Valentine's section because for some fucking reason we have Valentine's Day shit out already. Fucking Walmart. Anyway, I saw a guy grab one of these, and well, I saw him leaning over to grab something, and I saw a little girl. And at first, my brain was like, "That's not your kid, or is it your kid?" No, she's standing with other adults. That's not your kid. What? And then I saw him pick up a bear. I think he got the blue one. I'm not entirely sure, but he got one of these bears, and he left. And I noticed the bears, and I couldn't stop staring at them, and I had to grab them. I grabbed this little guy first because I absolutely love the neon orange color. It is freaking adorable. And oh my god, they're so fucking cute. They don't have the beaded eyes, it's just embroidered. So they're super soft all around. Just squish them half to death. But they look like little gummy bears. The way that they sit and the way that they look reminds me of gummy bears, except that their head's not square. Super adorable. Super, super, super adorable. And I put this one in, and I was gonna just turn and leave. I was just gonna get the one because I have other things that I need to get. I need to get shampoo and conditioner, other crap. I ended up not being able to leave the area until I grabbed this one. Like I was I had this one and I pushed the cart like 2 feet. And I turned back and went and grabbed this one. I'm still trying to think of names for them. I haven't come up with names just yet. But I will get there eventually and name them. They're super cute. $10 at Walmart. They're super soft and they're squishy. You could literally throw these things at people after you cut the tags off of their butts. Little tags on their butts are just, it kind of ruins the doll. But I don't want to cut them off just yet. That requires me to go and get the scissors from the kitchen, and I don't want to. But you could throw those at people and it wouldn't hurt them at all. A toddler would absolutely love how soft they are. That would be their forever childhood toy. The one toy that you'll probably regret ever getting them. Super bright. The yellow one I didn't like as much. It reminds me too much of a lemon. These two, the blue and the red, I absolutely loved. I didn't get them because these two called me. So I stuck with them. I still need to figure out names for them, but that'll come later. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever time of day it is for you. And I will post another video when I have another crazy dream. Bye.